here at Homestead Ice Cream Shop on Victoria Avenue. This establishment was recently visited by Food Network's popular show You Gotta Eat Here and was ranked number 5 on Chatelain's list of top ice cream shops in Canada. But more than that, since its inception in 1978, this shop holds many memories for community members right here in Saskatoon. We've got a tasty show in store for you today, so here's a look at what else is coming up. We get a look behind the scenes at the ice cream making process, and we drop by Weeding Wednesday at the Food Bank Garden Patch to get some useful tips on maintaining your garden. Homestead Ice Cream Shop has more than 300 flavors for community members to choose from and has some pretty cool 50s diner decor. You can see jukeboxes like this in the classic musical Grease, which is being put on by the Saskatoon Summer Players this month at Persephone. Simon Hyatt finds out what it takes to bring a show this size to life.
There are pluses and minuses when it comes to adapting a beloved work for the stage. On the one hand, you have a built-in audience of people who love a certain book, movie, or show. On the other, it comes with certain expectations.
The audiences don't think of Danny so much as they think of John Travolta, right? And so it's been kind of a work balancing the Travolta that everyone wants with the Danny that is more me. I think my Danny's a little more believable. Hopefully a little more relatable.
Yes, it will be summer nights for the Saskatoon Summer Players, as they are bringing Grease to the Persephone stage. And while those familiar with the Travolta version will find plenty to enjoy, it's far from a note-for-note remake. One big change is that, like in many stage versions, the Principal McGee character is replaced by teacher Ms. Lynch, played by community theater veteran Gwenda McPherson.
For me as an adult, kind of joining back, after my kids are grown, come back and join with these wonderful people, and they're all very encouraging. Everyone is super encouraging, so, and we all work together to practice and make it something that people really want to see.
Director Ron Knoll has also put in his time with Summer Players, first participating in 1983. Long before most of his young cast was even born.
In one sense, I want to kind of feel like I'm as young as they are, and I have to remind myself, okay, you could be their dad, but that's okay too. We all get along really well, and they're following my instructions.
And that attentiveness has been key, as the show is an intense one, featuring intricate choreography and, of course, those memorable songs. Hatley says preparing for the run at Persephone, which goes through July 2nd, has created an atmosphere that makes the relationships on stage all the more believable.
You get really close. It's something about working with people, every day for hours, especially with Grease, with a show that, it's friends hanging out is the whole show. So the Burger Palace boys and the Pink Ladies especially have gotten very close, I think.
And perhaps that feeling also helps explain how the Grease phenomenon has endured more than 40 years after it first debuted on stage.
I think it reminds people a little bit about their teenage years in high school for themselves. A big part is the music. It's all memorable songs.
For Go on Shaw TV, I'm Simon Hyatt.
Many community members here in Saskatoon have fond memories of Homestead Ice Cream Shop. Joining me right now is Alan, and he is the co-owner of Homestead. Alan, thanks so much for having us here at the ice cream shop. It's such a beautiful day. It's a perfect day for an ice cream, and we're going to be trying that out later in the show. But first, I want to learn a little bit about the history. I mentioned it right off the top of the show. This shop was created in 1978, and it has a bit of a love story to it. Can you tell us about the original owners?
The original owners were actually across the street. Okay. They were there, started in 1978. They had it for 17 years, and then Bill and Donna sold it to Doug Davey, who then met Lynn while working there, and then they worked at it for 17 years together. Then in 2012, 4.5 years ago, I bought it. So I guess I'll be in it for another 13 years to make it 17.
So it's definitely a shop that means a lot to community members here in Saskatoon. I know many at Shaw have told me that they remember coming here when they're kids. Do you have customers come in here and be like, oh, this place brings back such great memories from my childhood?
Oh, very much so.
Yeah?
Yes, lots of people coming in and being like, this is the first place my parents brought me when I had ice cream. This was my first job. This is where my grandparents brought me when I was out of town, and then when I moved to the city, et cetera, et cetera. Lots and lots of stories from lots of people.
So why did you want to take Homestead over?
I thought that it would be a really fun job and be able to be creative all the time and be able to make new and fun flavors of ice cream, along with trying new fruits. When we bought the place, there was about 300 flavors of ice cream, and we've taken it to over 400 flavors of ice cream.
Wow.
And always trying new berries like Hascap, sea buckthorn, bringing in rhubarb sundae topping here hopefully soon. And all of those are made on site. Along with the yogurt, it's made on site. All of our novelties are made on site, and the sundae toppings are made on site. So we try to make as much of everything here in the store as possible, and we try to buy as much stuff local as possible as well, if they can meet the demands that we need.
And why is it so important to you to keep things local and produce it right from Homestead?
Keeps it personal.
Yeah.
It keeps it personal, keeps it fresh. Basically, since day one, my aunt has actually made all the toppings for the entire store. So and we put toppings into the strawberry ice cream. So every time you're having the strawberry ice cream, I made the ice cream, but she made the topping to go into there. My dad has helped with delivering and making ice cream. My mom has helped with Taste Saskatchewan. She does the books.
There's options for everyone here because I know you have gluten-free vegan options.
Yes, if you are vegan or health conscious or whatever reason, we have a thing called Just Fruit, where instead of putting yogurt in as the base, the banana goes in as the base, and then you crush other fruit with that banana, and it comes out and it looks like and it tastes like yogurt, but it's just fruit. There's no added sugars, preservatives, or anything else like that. It's pure fruit.
Probably
frozen.
that creaminess of the
Yes.
banana will make it taste delicious.
Exactly.
All right, well, I definitely want to try that, but I also want to mention you were just recently visited by a very popular Food Network show, You Gotta Eat Here, and you were named number 5 on Chatelain's top ice cream shops in Canada. How proud does that make you, and what type of experience was that?
Well, overwhelming
Yeah.
is probably the first word that comes to mind, but also exciting, and never thought that would happen. The experience with You Gotta Eat Here was just something else. They were great, wonderful, a really good experience. And as far as top 5 on Chatelain's, again, super excited.
Did you ever think it would come to this?
No.
Something that you just thought would be fun and something that you take pride in, and then it's recognized by You Gotta Eat Here and Chatelain. That's pretty amazing.
And now you guys.
And now us. Yes, absolutely. We had to make it down here. I've heard so much about Homestead. Big congratulations on your successes. We'll be right back after the break, so don't go anywhere.
It's where you live. Shaw TV, your local voice.
Later on, we meet some of the newest inductees into the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame. And keeping with sports news, the Blades announce a change in management.
Hey folks, it's Larry Krause here with the Timberline Music Show. Join me and my special guest for a half hour of great music right here on Shaw TV.
After a long day in the garden, drop by Homestead Ice Cream Shop to enjoy a delicious frozen treat. But in the meantime, if you do have to spend time outdoors, here's a few tips when it comes to weeding your garden. We always always love coming down to the Saskatoon Food Bank Garden Patch. Joining me right now is Jana, and she's going to show us a little something different. She's going to show us some tips on weeding. Now, Jana, I know nothing about gardening, let alone weeding. How often do you weed? Do you just pluck the tops off? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so weeding can happen throughout the whole season. It depends on your soil and what you have going on. As soon as the weeds come up and you're able to identify them separate from the crop you're going, that's when you want to get in there. The more they grow, the more they're taking that water and nutrients you want your crop to have. So as soon as you start seeing them and they're big enough to say, hey, that's not a carrot, you can get in there. And then kind of weekly, if you do a good round in this kind of intensive situation, then you're going to be set up real well for the season.
All right, perfect. And I mentioned it right off the top. I see that, is this a weed right here? I don't even know.
It is.
Okay,
you're right.
So would I just go like that? Is that good enough?
Nope, that is, you can do that, but you're gonna have to come back sooner.
Yeah.
So this is a type of grass that just comes in and you wanna pinch it and pull as many roots as you can.
So right down to the root.
Yeah, go right to the base. For weeds that we have here in the garden patch, I find hands are the most efficient because you can be very accurate. If you had a bigger weed and your weed and you were having trouble, you can use a trowel or anything to kind of dig down, help pull that root out.
Okay.
The soil is moist here. That's a good thing to watch for because if the soil's dry, you're going to be pulling that top and breaking it.
Okay,
so
and then they'll come back.
after a rain, when it's not too mucky to walk on, is a great time to do your weeding.
Those are some great tips.
So you're holding a type of clover, and that, I mean, it's a beautiful plant, but it gets very large in the garden and it's taking up a lot of the water and space that we want our carrots growing.
Okay.
A common one we see here is the red root pigweed. And so that's gonna get really big and produce lots and lots of seeds. So really good to get your weeds out before they flower and make seeds.
That's good to learn what weeds look like and the names of these weeds, because then you won't go pulling out beautiful carrots.
Totally, yes.
Now, what about mulch? How does that help the process?
Yeah, so mulch is amazing to use for a weed suppressant, and mulch is really anything that covers the soil and keeps moisture in, and those weeds don't germinate under as often. You're never going to have a weed-free garden. Here we use a lot of straw, so straw bales, raked up leaves from the trees. You want at least about 3 inches thick to make it so those weeds don't know there's light up there and they won't germinate. And mulch is also going to keep that moisture in your soil, so really amazing technique.
Good to know. All right, so summarize it up. Very important to be out there weekly in your gardens looking for weeds because they are taking away nutrients from your vegetables or your plants.
Yeah.
All right, great tips to know. So everyone get out into your gardens, check for those weeds because we want the most beautiful flowers and the most delicious looking vegetables, especially here at the Saskatoon Food Bank and Garden Patch. Thanks so much, Jana.
Thank you.
Creating local TV that matters to your community. Shaw TV, your local voice.
All right, we've hopped into the on-site manufacturing space like we mentioned in the first interview. Many of the items, or most of the items here at Homestead are made right here at the location on Victoria Avenue. I'm so excited. I've never made ice cream before. Alan, you put the cream in here. Now we have the flavoring here that I'm gonna put in. It's root beer flavoring. I've never heard of root beer ice cream before, and I love root beer, so I'm so excited to try this out. Alan, tell me, what do I do with the flavoring?
You just dump it right into there.
Just dump it right in. Oh my God. It smells so good.
It does.
Just like that?
Just like that. Now we got root beer ice cream. Was vanilla, now root beer.
Yeah, so this is a bit of a process. It will take about 10 minutes to create. Can you explain what's happening in this machine?
there's water-cooled coils in this around the barrel in the ice cream machine there, and what it's doing is just whipping it around, adding air to it, making it light and fluffy, which is how you make gelato, ice cream, sorbets, all of them. And so that's basically what's happening, is we're just fluffing up the ice cream to make it nice and creamy.
How many liters of ice cream, or how much ice cream do you go through in a day?
On a busy day, we would go through probably about 30 11-liter buckets.
Wow.
Easy. And on a slower day in the summertime, about 10 to 15. So
still a lot of ice cream.
It's a lot of ice cream, and then you times up by 7 and then everything else, and it's a lot of ice cream that we pump through. But it's a lot of fun.
And it's a lot of fun. All right, well, once this is all created, we're gonna come back in the next segment. We're gonna pour it out. You're gonna see what we've created, and then we're gonna hop behind the counter and make one of your tasty treats. I can't wait. Make sure you stay tuned. There's lots more coming up on today's Go on Shaw TV.
It's where you live. Shaw TV, your local voice.
Now that we've seen how the ice cream is made, we're going to hop behind the counter to create one of Homestead's tasty treats. But first, Simon Hyatt introduces us to some of the newest inductees to the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame.
Kelsey Henry.
During her illustrious athletic career, Kelsey Henry spent a lot of time here inside the field house. And while she was typically focused on her training, she admits she would occasionally get distracted by something else.
As a young girl, I used to come here and do gymnastics up at the top of the field house, and I used to look at all the pictures as I went up. And I remember telling my mom that I'd really like to be on the wall someday, and she said, "Sure, honey, I'm not sure for what."
It turns out that dream is coming true, as Henry went on to become one of the greatest pole vaulters in Canadian history. And this year, her portrait will join the others on the wall at the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame. Other athletes joining her this year will be Jamie Cruikshank for multiple sports, Randy Smith for hockey, Joey Stapner for standing volleyball, and Dwayne Dimitrition, who says the honor may be even better than his Vanier Cup and Grey Cup wins as an outstanding running back.
It's probably got to top him. It's pretty flattering, to be recognized in the city. I mean, growing up here, and you don't set out to do things like that, but at the same time, it's nice to be recognized.
Athletes like Dimitrition and the former Olympian Henry are accustomed to the spotlight. But as always, this year's Hall of Fame class also recognizes those who typically receive less attention. Ray White is going in for his contributions in building the sport of cycling here.
Yeah, the sport hasn't gotten an awful lot of recognition. It's not one of the mainline sports, but it's something that I love, and we try and promote the sport to all of our members who come out and join the club.
Other builders being inducted include Don Bates for softball, Bob Fawcett for multiple sports, and Percy Hoff for soccer. Baton twirlers Stephanie Hart and Casey Berry Napper, as well as the 86-87 U of S men's track squad, will go into the team category. And the Marion Gymnastics Club is the sports organization of the year. The induction ceremony will be held November 5th at TCU Place. For Dimitrition, it will also be an opportunity to thank those who helped him reach this point, especially his wife.
Being home with kids and working, and while I'm pursuing a career, and she's allowing me that opportunity to do it, and just want it's nice to recognize and thank her, and the kids. Kind of cool for them maybe see, well, Dad's not just boring old coach.
For Go on Shaw TV, I'm Simon Hyatt.
With more than 400 flavors and a variety of tasty treats, community members will have a tough time choosing what they want to eat here at Homestead. I love brownies, so I'm going to make a brownie, what are we calling it?
Brownie Supreme.
Brownie Supreme, excellent. So tell us what we're going to do first.
Well, typically we would take the bowl and put in soft serve ice cream, but you've chosen to pick your own hard ice cream, which you can do. You can pick up to 2 different flavors of hard ice cream anytime you want.
Awesome.
And that's what we're doing.
All right, well, I am going to try this out. So we go right back here.
Correct.
And then we take the ice cream scoop. And I have chosen chocolate chip cookie dough. Ta-da!
choice.
And maple walnut.
Also a staple.
All right, so we've got our ice cream. Now we're gonna bring it over here to this beautiful looking brownie. And then the next step is, Alan?
Brownie goes on top of the
Brownie
ice cream.
goes on top, and then the fun part, we get to choose the toppings. Reminder, most of these toppings, or all these toppings, are created right here at Homestead, so that's awesome to know. It's locally made with local ingredients. I love strawberries, so we're gonna try strawberry. And then, just like that, Alan?
Exactly, yep.
Perfect. And just dump it on top. And then, of course, being in Saskatoon, we must try some Saskatoon berries. Oh, look at that. That looks fantastic. I feel like we need a little whipped cream.
I was just going to say, like every other treat, so I was just going to ask, would you like whipped cream and a cherry with that?
I think that's a question that doesn't need to be answered. Absolutely.
Like
whipped cream and a cherry, so Alan's going to do that for me. Oh my gosh, my mouth is watering. And to finish it off, a cherry on top. That looks absolutely fantastic. Alan, thank you so much for having us here at Homestead Ice Cream Shop. It's been a great time, a tasty time. I'm going to enjoy this. Drop by Homestead on Victoria Avenue. I'm sure Alan would love to say hi.
Would too.
All right, Alan, thanks again. A great time. Cheers.
In this business, things change every day.
The Saskatoon Blades have gone through yet another major shakeup, as head coach and general manager Bob Woods has decided to leave the team after being offered an assistant coach job with the NHL's Buffalo Sabres. Woods was hired in June of 2014 and guided the team during the rebuild of the past 2 seasons.
It was very tough. It wasn't easy at all. Again, you build relationships and you got family here, and to move, it's tough. But again, I know how this business works, and these opportunities don't come by every day, and you could pass on it, and hopefully, maybe it would come down the road, but sometimes it doesn't.
Woods had originally signed a 5-year deal with the Blades, but all parties involved say he leaves with management's blessings. He says the decision to go was made somewhat easier by the fact that he believes the team will be in good hands. Managing partner Colin Priestner will take over as general manager, while assistant coach Dean Brockman becomes head coach. He doesn't foresee huge changes in the team's immediate future.
We can't totally blow up the ship and change a lot of things. I believe in the foundation that's here. Sure, we're going to add to it. We're certainly going to do some things differently, maybe away from the rink and away from the ice that, when time permits. And, I think we just have to be united as one.
For Go on Shaw TV, I'm Simon Hyatt.
From triple dip cheesecake to delicious looking brownie supremes, there are so many options here at Homestead Ice Cream Shop for community members, and with many of the toppings and novelties being homemade right on the location here at Victoria Avenue, this is a great place to stop by this summer. If you want to learn more about the history of the shop, make sure you go to homesteadicecream.ca. Thanks so much for joining us on our tasty show. I'm your host, Janella Hamilton. Bye-bye for now.